6 o'clock, I'll call this regular city council meeting to order. If you'll rise, we'll have an invocation and call for invocation.
Kind of gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day, Lord. We thank you for all your blessings, Lord. Father, we just ask you to watch over, protect us, keep us safe and healthy, Lord, and just help us to make wise decisions, Lord, when it comes to city, Lord. We're prepared to do city business, Lord. Father, we just thank you for all the things that you've given us. For it's in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Janine, are there any public comments?
No, sir.
Mentioning the employees?
No.
Next, we'll consider and approve the minutes from the July 25th and August 8th meetings. If there are no additions or corrections, can you get a motion to approve the minutes as read?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the last city council meeting.
I'll second the motion.
Motion's been made by Michael, seconded by Buddy. If there's no further questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Next, we'll consider and approve the monthly departmental reports. If you have a question, please identify the page. The supplementary handout today is, we'll visit about it now, but this won't be in your packet every time. This is a page that talks about, it's to go along with the police report. So I've done a little visiting with the DA this week on activity of Littlefield PD. This report can be hard to read at first glance. It goes back 6 years. You'll notice that all agencies have a number of cases rejected for various reasons. You know, it may be something the DA doesn't want to accept, or there was a slight error that they send it back, or whatever. But if you'll notice, Littlefield LPD's cases are well within the average of that rejection rate. And if you will look at cases presented, you know, sometimes we look at these departmental reports and you'll notice that, you know, you have trouble seeing citations and incidents reports. It looks sometimes, the call volume's high, but when you pull out animal control, EMS, and some of those house watch and other things, it can be misleading on their activity. DA was very complimentary on their activity. They are by far presenting more cases to the DA than the rest of the agencies in Lamb County combined. Had lots of good things to say and lots of interaction with helping train for PD and doing some work with them on their drug dog with DPS and different things. There's not a report in your handout as far as the drug dog activity. I would tell you the DA's comments were that recently there's been 4 felony cases presented that were a result of the new drug dog. And so it does seem when you dig into some of that, and the chief can answer more questions about that activity, is that the dog is being beneficial. So this is a neat report. I don't know how often Ms. Redmond will do it, if it's annually or what, but she did run this report, and it is interesting to see. She did make a comment on that, you know, sometimes we wonder about traffic citations, that if there's a traffic stop, sometimes you don't get a tail light out or running a stop sign, because many a times those traffic incidents lead to felony charges. And so if there's felonies, you know, they drop the misdemeanors and go after the felony cases. But regardless, Chief Hester can probably answer some questions on that. But it was a good report. I asked Mitch to include it in supplementary.
I think in the last meeting, didn't we ask for starting the dog report and stuff?
We included that as a column, and you know, we might put more information in the future, but that was added as a call. It's just that one column we put in with your activity report on page 9.
Yeah.
But we just put that, how many calls and hits, that's all we added, wasn't it, that one
Yes.
column? Okay. We've been looking at maybe adding some more stuff, but I just don't want to get it too much volume to it, but
And on that other one, you requested, talking to Ross a little bit, some of that, really would like to keep some of that action. I mean, you visit more with him, but some of what he told me is some of that he'd like to stay out of this special,
The special response team.
yeah, because some of that is to be a little bit discreet. But you can visit with him more, I don't know enough to ask the right questions. I do want to say, I've noticed patrol has stepped up, that was one thing we talked about. I have seen patrol step up, appreciate that. Overtime is scary looking at it, but I hope that now that you're staffed, you'll work with that more.
We're still one down, but we're gonna do whatever we can to bring it down.
I had a comment, if I don't know anybody or anybody, just briefly, it goes in tow with our budget down the road, but on page 56, the municipal pool budget, or not a budget, their expenses, I would, Mitch, Andrew, I'd like to see us, something's got to be done with. I mean, I see the Pizza Hut stuff, we're buying and selling pizza, we need to make sure that we're recovering that cost, because it's extraordinary. And then, you know, I just, at a glance, I have a problem with these trips to Sam's pretty frequently. It doesn't look like they're planning well. And I would just be interested to know if there's a way to get on with Frito-Lay or some distributor to maybe get deliveries made, or we have 2 grocery stores that, you know, I'm sure we could put an order in and get that dealt with, where we're not having to go to Sam's 4 times in a week.
well, that's definitely right. That's, and on our budget we've got this year, the numbers are probably a little higher than where we're gonna end up, because I've been talking to Andrew a lot about this, and we feel like there's quite a few things we can tighten up on, and you know, personnel is one of them, and like these trips, you had all that kind of stuff up, and I feel that we do a whole lot better job, but in all fairness, we haven't even seen the whole picture of this year yet, because we still have a little bit of payroll to go out and stuff, and there's a lot of room there to improve. And, you know, first year was just try to get it done, and, you know, keep everybody safe. And then this year, I believe there's going to be a lot better efficiency going into this coming year. But we didn't want to be over zealous on our budget. It'll be a lot better coming in under budget.
Real quick, on the Sam's, that's gonna be the pool, ain't it, man?
Yeah, that's going to be on page 56.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of ran the concession stand for the Bamboozlers. It's one of those that you don't know how busy you're gonna get, and it's hard. It's hard to do, so.
Well, one thing we'll learn this year is we'll be able to go back and study, like, okay, how many flaming hot Cheetos do we need, you know? So, and you know, I'm just glad nobody got hurt this year. That was the good thing.
I may have made a mistake and crossed into the next agenda item on expenses.
Oh,
I thought I could just go with
I'm sorry, I was just digging through reports and had pages of those items. It is a report, but probably better to have discussion shortly. Any other questions on any of the departmental reports? If none, can we get a motion to approve the monthly reports?
I make a motion, we approve the departmental reports for this month.
It's been made by Michael, seconded by Kenny. Is there any further questions? Not all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Next, we'll consider and approve July expenses. Kenny?
Yeah, to get back on that swimming pool thing, I agree 100% with the food and stuff, and I'm looking at that. But one thing I would like to see, if we can do, is, we see all this money going out. I would like to see us put in a income report on this also, just to see what we got coming in instead of going out. I'd like to see what we're making on our concession stand. I'd like to see what we're making on our admissions. I'd like to see what we're making on our, pool rentals. I realize that pool's not there to make money, it's there for a quality of life thing, which I get.
So that's on page 38 in your previous budget report.
Yeah, but, get back to the food thing and stuff, it's just, looking at that and adding it up, it's over $7,000 worth of expenditure using food. I'd like to see how much money we get coming in off that food.
Yeah, I think Andrew's,
And I realize that, we kind of talked just a little bit about
what
that.
he was talking about is once it completes for the year,
Exactly.
just being able to do a P&L on it, really.
Yeah, I was actually working on it just a few minutes before I came up here, and I got like a day-to-day breakdown, rough drafted right now, so I can get that by next month.
I just think that it would be wise to have something like that in our monthly thing to kind of see what we're bringing in instead of what's going on.
I was kind of interested in looking at like every day that it was open, and like what you made in the concession, what you made in admission and in rental, and then kind of how much money you expensed on personnel and stuff.
Right.
So,
That's just, really pretty good. Yeah, I agree with what we said before too. Just some things that we need to be looking at, that maybe we can streamline to improve that. There's 7 trips this month alone, just going to Sam's. Or we could be going to United or Area Food King.
Well, and, once again, I'm no expert, but, there's no way the local grocery stores can compete with the prices that Sam's will give. Yeah, the pool's not there to make money, but,
Yeah, but
There's
there's,
a-
you spent $366 and 80 cents for just road. Just drive over there.
Any other questions on the monthly July expenses? None, can we get a motion to approve the July expenses?
I'll make a motion to approve the July expenses.
Second.
Motion's been made by Buddy, seconded by Michael. If there's no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next, we will consider and approve June and July as always owing expenses. Those are on page 67. We'll go to work for police department, licensing enforcement vehicles. If there's no questions on that, can we get a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion, we approve July's always tolling expenses.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made by Michael, seconded by Eric. Any further questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All abstained? All 4 in favor, 1 abstained. Motion carried. Next, we'll consider and approve appointment and reappointment of LEDCA directors. Mitch?
Looks like the only one we need to appoint at this time would be to reappoint Graham Henley to the LEDCA.
He has been active, hasn't
Yeah.
he? Nobody has any other names to submit. Could we get a motion to reappoint Graham Henley for another term?
Make a motion, we reappoint Graham Henley to the LEDCA Directors Board.
Second.
Motion's been made by Michael, seconded by Kenny. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, the motion carries. Next, we'll consider and approve the appointment or reappointment of the 2023 LEDCB directors. Mitch?
The ones that are up are Lottie Spencer, Eric Turpin, Keith Logan, Lance Parker, and Rita Williams.
Board meets once a year, and it's just basically to vote on the budget and their contribution towards the projects. So, make a motion, we reappoint all of those expiring board members.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made by Eric, seconded by Buddy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the motion carries. Next, we'll consider and approve appointment of Parks Committee members.
Yes, I've checked with all of our existing members, and they've all agreed to serve again, and, you know, kind of informal type committee. And our discussions earlier about doing some park improvements, I'd like to bring some of those improvements to them and let them make a formal recommendation to the council after discussing some of our park needs.
By no means is there any, I mean, we don't need to have 50 people on here, but anybody can come to their meetings. They're publicized, so we need a board, but if anybody has any people that they know is passionate about this, it wouldn't be bad to add them to it. This is the previous members that worked on the pool last time we met on that. Anybody have any names to add or recommendations?
What's the terms and duration?
It's just kind of informal as they goes active for a while, and then we dismiss them and put them back on.
They've been more of a task force, and what we'd like to do maybe is look at getting them together a little more often and look at park needs, and these are just some people that have been very interested in parks from the onset.
Any idea how long we give them to get some ideas?
I've got some pictures that and layouts of the park that we've been working on, and I'd like to maybe try to have a meeting, probably first part of next month, and get them some ideas out there to be thinking about.
The goal of this, what they've done in the past is, I mean, they have meetings, they take citizen comment, and then it's a citizen board that they'll kind of put up their ideas along with yours, and then y'all will bring them back to us. I mean, we're the final decision on it.
Well, another thing is y'all can kind of, at a meeting, y'all can give them directions as to things you want them to look at too, and then they can work on it and come back to it.
Get some citizen interaction and some outside people that are interested in it. And you're wanting to get them to meeting kind of more, a few times a year.
Particularly this time of year where we'll have the winter to get things lined up for summertime.
If there's no additions to those names, I make a motion we approve all of those previous people.
Second.
Motion's been made by Eric, seconded by Michael. Are there any additions to that list? If none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll consider and approve a resolution by the City of Littlefield, Texas, denying Southwestern Public Service Company's proposed rate increase. Mitch?
Like we've talked about before, Littlefield is one of the 13 committees that represent the 80 cities that are served in Texas by XL and SPS. And we have a little bit of control over the rates that are approved for electricity, and we usually end up being able to get them to reduce the rates some. So this resolution is to formally deny their request for a rate increase. And what that does, it sends it to the Public Utility Commission of Texas, and then it's either approved or not approved there. But it's a important thing that we deny this, and all the other cities are denied it also.
And then typically the consultants and attorneys meet, you know, they always ask for more than you need, so then they get together and find a number that works for both parties before that gets to the PUC finally, and then that will be brought back to y'all for approval.
So basically, they got a number that they want already, so they just jack it up to a higher number to come down and make you feeling good.
Lawyers gotta eat too.
It seems like this is a good thing.
Yes.
They do.
Yeah, with Atmos.
And it's, yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
they're, you know, because they're continuing to build their infrastructure, and so they can pass those costs on to consumers.
It just seems like always being a continual thing, it's just hard to get a settlement on it.
Well, we don't have a lot of regulatory authority over rate making.
Yeah, I get that.
But we need to send a message that we're not happy with it.
We're not taking it
But-
personally.
Yeah, I get it, it's just.
Yeah.
Entertain a motion approving this resolution to deny the SPS rate case.
I make a motion that we deny the resolution in this rate case.
No, we don't deny the
I mean,
resolution.
we deny the resolution.
Pass the resolution.
Second.
And motion's been clarified, correct me if I'm wrong, Kim. Motion's been made by Kenny, seconded by Michael, that we approve the resolution denying the rate case. How you want it? If there's no further discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we will consider and approve a resolution approving the negotiated settlement between Axum and steering committee.
Yeah, this next one is for our gas rate, and a little different situation. I've actually been served on the steering committee for Atmos in the past, and years ago we came up with a couple of different methods to negotiate a rate, and these attorneys have attorneys that can debate over operation costs and stuff. So, long story short, Atmos wants to do this GRIP, and that's an acronym for basically getting your infrastructure approved more easily for their gas line extensions, things like that. But the rate review mechanism is the better way to do this. And so what the city's done or what the steering committees have done is they've negotiated this down to a less of an increase, reduced to 11.4 million, down from, I think, 12.1 million. And so this resolution would be to approve the rate review mechanism for setting the rate. So I recommend that you approve that resolution that approves the negotiated settlement.
Any questions? Entertain a motion to approve the resolution approving the negotiated settlement. Make a motion, we approve the resolution approving the negotiated settlement.
Second.
Motion's been made by Eric, seconded by Michael. Is there any further discussion? If none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll consider and approve an engineer for the development of an application for an EDA grant. Mitch?
This has kind of changed over the years. You select your engineer early on in the process when you're applying for different kind of grants, and economic development grants are, one of those those things where you have to choose your engineer early so that other engineers have a equal opportunity to apply. This is for this grant we're applying for with Continental to install a lift line in to lift our system and to provide a little more reliability on our water supply for the mill plant. So we have a committee made up of Terry and Andrew and myself, and we received 3 proposals from the 14 that we sent out, and we scored and ranked those 3 proposals, and we'd recommend that we'd negotiate the contract with the top proponent, Park Hill Engineering. There's a handout if you want to look at that, keep it, or in the back.
So you're asking for us to approve Park Hill's, Smith and Coop, Park Hill as the engineer?
Yes.
Any questions? If there's not any, can we get a motion to approve Park Hill as the engineer on this grant application?
Make a motion to approve Parkville Engineering as for the PDA and TDA grant application.
Second.
Motion's been made by Kenny, seconded by Michael. Is there any other discussion? If none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Next, we'll consider and approve an ordinance amending the original budget for fiscal year 2022 to 23. That budget amendment is on page 101. If you have any questions, Andrew, you want to get any highlights of this? Anything to discuss?
Nothing really too bad that I can see. I mean, all to be kind of expected with what we've been doing on. Of course, our revenues we had some revenues that were higher than we expected, which surprised me, but most surprising was interest rates, the interest that we're making on our money at the bank, just our money sitting in our account, increased significantly over last year. I mean, significantly. So, and then our water sales are up a little bit this year. I thought we'd hit about dead on, but we had 2 really dry months, and I estimate that we'll top it about 200,000. Sounds like a lot of money, but it's a very small margin when you look at, we're expecting 2.3 million.
If there are no questions on the budget amendments, can we get a motion approving that ordinance? Make a motion, we approve the amendments to the original budget.
Second.
Motion's been made by Eric, seconded by Michael. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Next, we'll have a public hearing regarding the approval of the budget for the fiscal year 2023-2024. This budget will raise more total property taxes than last year's budget by $94,027. And of that amount, $10,940 is tax revenue to be raised from new property added to the tax rolls this year. Any highlights for the public hearing? No. At this time, I'll close the regular city council meeting and open a public hearing. If you have a comment, please approach the dais, give your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing that no one is here, I now close this public hearing, reopen the regular city council meeting. We'll move on to number 18. Consider and approve an ordinance approving the budget and a 5-year capital improvement plan for the year beginning October 1, 2023 and ending September 30th, 2024, and making appropriations for each department, project, account, and debt, declaring an emergency. So this will be the final chance to talk about the budget and before we adopt it as this motion. So if anybody has any questions, changes, speak now, forever hold your peace until we amend legislation. I've been visiting with Mitch about this, and we've touched on it, and, you know, this, really try to keep salary discussions out of, council meeting. That's something for the city management and department heads to deal with. So the step and grade and every director is getting a 2% cost increase, right?
Right.
I would like to discuss, before we pass this budget, we've had some discussions, concerned about, and I've done a lot of talking and research with different things this week, over the past week. I'd like to propose, or I'd like to make a motion that we adjust the budget an additional 3% for the police department for their, what's the word I'm looking for, officers? Certified peace officers. So in other words, everybody's gonna get the 2%, but I'd like to add in 3% to just the peace officers, not secretaries or anything, chief, none of that, just the officers to be used at the chief's discretion to equalize these salaries, where Senate Bill 22 has passed, State House making a pool of money that sheriff's departments only can apply to, and it's dependent on the county, but you know, it's going to set the base salary of some deputies at $45,000. Commissioners have to prove the application of it. It's kind of a grant, but the concern is that we could really start getting pulled away our good officers by some other sheriff's departments because they have money that we don't have. This makes about what'd you figure, $19,000 additional to their budget, so not a huge number, but it equates to about a 5% increase for those officers, of which all of our employees, you know, we've been working on, but my concern is the officers is we've had struggles getting some and keeping some. And Ross and Mitch and I visited yesterday. I encouraged them, as all departments, and I want to say this in public, that there's no more revenue coming in. We can't raise taxes and generate a lot of revenue. We've got to save our water utility rates to do water utility infrastructure projects because those are costly. All of our departments, since COVID and massive inflation, our salaries have gone up dramatically, and we're still not where we need to be in a lot of ways. But department heads, as you move into next year's budget, there isn't a golden goose anymore that we can go to keep getting these salaries right. We're going to have to look at shrinking our departments as far as hiring better qualified people, paying them more, and doing more with less, whether it's secretaries, less number of people in your department. And that's what was my challenge to the chief and to the city manager the other day, is if I presented this, I asked them to continue to look at ways, you know, when you look at our officers compared per capita to our surrounding cities, we seem to be a little heavy. What you have to keep in mind in Lane County is we get zero support from Lane County as far as their sheriff's department of assisting, where these other counties do get some assistance from their sheriff's departments. And so, you know, it is possible that we need more officers for that. But Chief Hester is, like we talked the other day, I mean, just because we've always done it doesn't mean we have to continue to, and we need to look for ways to, because your officers need more money, but we've got to find other ways to get it to them. So that's my motion, and my reason for that motion is to give them an additional 3% only for the officers to be used as the chief feels on a merit time, fixing, underserved, or whatever him and the city manager choose.
I guess my question is that a motion?
Yes, sir. It's an emotion to change this budget. On that item, we can go all through the budget. That was mine. I put it in the form of a motion because just to get it done properly and vote on it. So.
Well, and to me, I'm to support the mayor. I think we need to find, not just in the police department, but everywhere else is, you know, the mayor's right. We don't have any golden goose that that's giving out money. So, once again, just to say what the mayor said, we need to learn how to do more with less. I mean, and it's not just a city, it's everywhere else. You know, every day I go to work, there's something new for me to do.
I heard an analogy this week, or last week on KFYO, is would you rather have 10 employees at $10 an hour or 4 employees at $25 an hour that are very good and know what they're doing? And that's what I've pushed Mitch for the last couple of years is, you know, water department, EMS, parks, police, or whatever is, we need to go, to get good people, we're gonna have to pay them better. We can't pay trash truck drivers the same amount as what Chick-fil-A is paying and expect to get good drivers. And but the fact of the matter is we need to, thanks to inflation and the federal issues and world issues, I mean, we can't afford to pay people where we need to be without, what department do y'all want to get rid of? Let us know by next budget, and then we'll take that money and add it to salaries, but I don't think any of you are gonna say do away with my department. So we all need to work and say, hey, I can do with a little bit less because I need to pay my people.
And that's, once again, I hope that's one of the goals that all the departments look at this year. You know, if you can do without, try to do without. Yeah.
I'll second the motion.
Motion's been made by Eric, seconded by Buddy. I want to clarify on do without, Michael, though. I'm not pushing. City of Littlefield did without for a long time.
Yeah, and we did. I mean, what I'm saying is once again, you know, we're top heavy on some areas that we might need to look at.
Sir, I beg to differ. We're not top heavy with the police department. We don't, Muleshoe doesn't have the issues that we have. Just the other night, I had 2 officers taken to the ER because they got into a fight, sir.
I don't think it's necessarily meant police department specifically, but.
No, but, I mean, yeah, it's just, we don't got the income, like the mayor said, we don't have the income to support. Well, we don't have the income to support like we'd like to. But, I mean, that's just it.
And if you'll notice, all of your departments is, we have really focused in the last several years since the sale of the Bill Clay Detention Center was, we had a lot of infrastructure issues, as Terry and Lance can attest to. We prioritized streets, these booster stations for sewer, lift stations, and a lot of your rolling stock. And we want to continue to supply good equipment, and all of this equipment has went up in price 40, 50, 100%. So our point is we are aware of the issues you're facing. We want to try to help, but I'm not going to sit up here and say that I'm going to keep raising taxes. This is the first tax increase we've done in three years or more. And the reason is because our costs are exceeding what our revenue is, but that's not the answer. And so our answer is to get more efficient however possible. And city manager, that, and treasurer, and department head, that's y'all's, we're giving you a year to get that figured out, to get our people paid, to keep good people. In all departments, we're not talking to police, that's the motion, because police is the immediate need. But it's just a message, more or less. Any other discussion on any of that? We have a motion and a second to increase an additional 3% to the police department's budget for their officers, what you call certified?
Peace officers.
Certified peace officers. If there's no further discussion on that motion, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Is there any other part of this budget that you question, that you want to alter, or anything?
I just want to look at on page 30 when it comes out to the.
Which one?
Page 30 on the on the full. Again, just looking at the salaries, I think again, kind of falls in line with what we were just talking about. I think there's a little bit of some stuff that probably could be looked at a little bit more as far as the salary bill. And I understand that, you know, we only had it here for, this will be the second year, but trying to get some numbers in and see if we can't trim down some of that stuff as far as that salary goes, you know, for 2.5 months that it's open, you know, what you have budgeted for salary, quite a bit of money.
I would echo that. I mean, we're saying we're gonna approve that number in the budget, but we don't like that number, and y'all need to figure out how to run that more efficiently. I mean, the few times I've visited it, Andrew and I've talked about this, there's some duplicity and some stuff going on that we can see way more efficient.
That's true.
Any other comments, changes, questions? We've worked hard on this. Mitch, Andrew, department heads, thank you for getting this. May not have addressed every need this year. One thing I want to reiterate that's frustrated me significantly in the last 2 years is, especially on capital improvements, is if we take the time and go through the pain of putting in an item such as a pickup to purchase, I would like to see us get it bought sooner than 2 years. I understand the issue of sourcing some of that, but we've given up other stuff to put these numbers in the budget. And if we put these in the budget, let's get them bought. Any other comments before we pass this budget? Andrew, what is the total expenditures? How do you see that? $10 million?
It'll be on page 7 of the budget. And it'll be about 10.7 million, once you add the general fund expenses and the water fund expenses. Those are just the general and water fund.
2 years ago, if I remember right, it was 6.2, so pretty substantial. If there's no further questions, no further changes, no further discussion, can I get a motion to approve the adoption of this budget capital improvement plan?
Make a motion, we approve this budget with the 5-year capital improvement plan worked into it. Fiscal year beginning October 1st of 2023 and ending September 3rd, 2024.
Second. Motion's been made by Michael, seconded by, is that you, Barry?
That's me.
Buddy? If there's no further discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Great work, guys, on getting that done. Next, we will consider and approve the plan. This is always backwards to me. But next, we'll consider and approve the plan to increase tax revenue, propose a rate, and set a hearing and adoption for September 26th at 6 p.m. as prescribed by Tax Code 26.06 and record the vote. So what are we doing here, Mitch?
I'll try to shed some light on it. The legislature always passes rules that make things complicated and upside down for us, but we've been lockstep with the appraisal district to make sure that we don't make a misstep somewhere, because there's a little bit more to increasing tax revenue, and that is in the past where we've just done the no new revenue in NRA. And there's statutory requirements on publications, on your tax rate, and it's called the Truth in Taxation Rules, but it makes things very complicated. So when we started working on the budget, we talked about trying to keep the same tax rate. And so, what we set out to do is keep that same rate. So a person with a house that value hadn't changed will pay the same amount of taxes if we pass the same rate this year as we had last year. If we didn't, we would lose about 94,000 in revenue if we cut our taxes for the fourth year in a row. So we were able to claw back the increment between the no new revenue and the voter approval rate. We were able to claw back some of the 2020 tax year increment. So long story short, we can approve the same rate as last year as we've discussed. And to meet the timeline and the publication requirements, you'll need to make you have to approve a plan to propose a tax rate of 62.55 cents per $100 valuation. And I would recommend that we may even list the maintenance and operation rate of 55.14 cents, and then the interest and sinking rate of 0.0714, which is 7.14 cents. So at the bottom of that memo on page 106, it recommends a motion to do this. You'll need to do a record vote where you go down the list and ask yea or nay from each member. I think I would expand on that motion to say what the M&O and the interest and sinking, how those are divided up. And then we'll send this to the appraisal district, and they'll run the publication for us in enough days for you to be able to adopt the tax rate at the regular meeting next month.
So how come these other city schools in the county have already publicized that? Have they passed their budgets earlier, or?
Not my monkeys. All we do is we go by the rules on ours, and we follow them, and this is the process we have to go first time and go.
So this motion is gonna propose this tax rate and set a hearing and adoption?
Set a hearing date along with an adoption date, same time, for September 26th.
Okay. I make a motion to propose to set the tax rate at a total of 0.6255 per $100 valuation, consisting of an M&O rate of 0.5514 and an INS rate of 0.0714, which are the same as this last year, and to set a hearing and adoption date of September 26, 2023 at 6 p.m. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made by Eric, seconded by Kenny. Any further discussion? Now I have a record vote. We'll go down the line and record each person's vote. Eric Turpin votes in favor. Michael Ringel,
In favor.
Kenny Rucker,
In favor?
Eric Sines,
In favor.
Buddy Holmes.
In favor.
The motion passes unanimously. Everything, you're good? Satisfied? Do we do each? Next, we'll have an executive session consultation with an attorney for hotel occupancy tax, TCQ, utility rate, attorney fees. All of this is under section 551.071, consultation with an attorney. This time, the city council, city manager, and city attorney. Join me. It is 7:33. We have returned from executive session where no action was taken. At this time, we'll consider and approve any action regarding consultation with the attorney. I make a motion that we pay the agreed order with TCQ according to docket number 2022-1363-MWD-E. Did you get that, Janine?
222-1363 MWD-3.
Dash E is an echo.
E, oh, thank you.
Mike Whiskey Delta Echo.
You made a motion.
Second. Motion been made by Eric, seconded by Michael. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, the motion carries. Next, we will consider, next we will have an executive session regarding annual city manager evaluation according to Government Code 5.1.07 for personnel matters, city manager and city attorney and council.
Jamie's wondering why you got a sub. It is 8:15. We have returned from executive session where no action was taken. Mitch, by everybody waiting around, I think they were waiting for how that went. Thank you, everybody, through this whole budget process. Thank you for all that y'all do and everything. Do a great job. This time, we'll finish up and consider action regarding annual city manager evaluation. We'll make a motion that out of the budget, the city manager always excludes himself from any raises or cost of living as part of the evaluation. I want to make a motion that he is also included in the regular 2% cost of living as the rest of the city is. Motion's been made and seconded that we also include the city manager in the 2% cost of living increase. Any other discussion? None, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you.